Yo, welcome, everybody to the stream. This is episode 2 of Green On Sports Podcast. I got the Aaron Rodgers jersey on today. You know what I'm saying? Not so much of a Packers fan, but definitely a Aaron Rodgers fan. So yeah, had to don Aaron Rodgers gear. Obviously the set still looks the same right now, but I did get stuff to upgrade the set. I just got it actually earlier today, but I also had work, so I didn't really have a lot of time to set things up as far as that goes, but definitely expect episode 3 to have a better set as far as the aesthetic and everything goes. But yeah, um, appreciate everybody who has supported and enjoyed the first episode. But yeah, this is episode 2, and thank you to everybody. I'll just get right into the sports stuff because we definitely got a lot of news to talk about. We'll start with news just from around like the sports world, not necessarily relating to the core sports that I talk about, like basketball, fighting, and football. So definitely. Oh, and also I want to address before I get into anything the fact that it's on Friday now because I was just thinking for the future. We definitely have we have like obviously in football you have Saturday and Sunday are mostly taken up by college and then professional football. And since this is mostly a football style like show, like well since football is like the main sport we talk about, obviously um, I moved it to Friday so that way during the college football and NFL football seasons it's going to make more sense because I need to watch to give better feedback college football on Saturdays than instead of podcasting on Saturdays. So yes, I definitely we definitely gotta move that. I moved it to Friday, so thank you to everybody for their flexibility of still being able to watch on Friday. But also, obviously, the video will be on my channel after it goes live. Um, so you'll be able to still watch it Saturday or Sunday, whatever day you're available to watch it. But yeah, now that that is out of the way, yeah, let's get right into the sports. Got a lot of big news around sports. We got some boxing news, some golf, some F1, some uh, kind of baseball news. Because I said I'm not going to talk a lot about baseball on the show because kind of not in agreement with a lot of MLB things right now. But there was the Jackie Robinson statue apparently in his shrine or like in his like in like a little museum for Jackie Robinson. Somebody took the statue and apparently like ripped it like off of the stand and then took it somewhere and burnt it. They found burnt remnants, and I'm just like, that's just I don't know. It was crazy to me to think, especially as we get into February, Black History Month, and everything. Like it's crazy to think. I don't know. It's just like, well, what's the point of burning a statue? Like they're just gonna rebuild it. I don't know. There's no point in that to me. It's kind of just dumb. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I was just sitting there thinking about that, and I was like, yeah, this makes no sense. Who's burning a Jackie Robinson statue out here? Like, you got to be a special kind of stupid to do that because it's like, come on, it's Jackie Robinson, bro. He's like one of the best baseball players ever. It's, I don't know. But yeah, we'll move on from that because that's just ridiculous. But yeah, so F1 news as well. We have the Japan Grand Prix apparently got an extension. They're gonna use the Japan Grand Prix for a while now, like till at least 2029. That's gonna keep going. Uh, Also, F1 news: Lewis Hamilton apparently in 2025 is making a big switch. Obviously, he's one of the biggest people in the F1 sport. He is moving on to Ferrari, the Ferrari team, instead of the Mercedes team that he has been on for years now. And that is leading Carlos Sainz to get obviously removed from Ferrari by that year, and that's who Lewis Hamilton will be replacing. So obviously, hopefully, Lewis Hamilton does well there, and hopefully Carlos Sainz can find somewhere else to drive. Maybe replace him on Mercedes. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with that Mercedes spot? But yes, hopefully Lewis Hamilton can get to Ferrari and get some success because obviously he's done great things in the sport before and he's done well. So hopefully, yeah, maybe he can get up there and compete with Max Verstappen because he needs some competition. And Ferrari's a good team. Good, obviously, it's Ferrari, so it's hopefully good car. Golf news, not too much, because I'm not too well based on golf, but I wanted to reference how Rory McIlroy, he was like super against the whole live move and everybody going to live and was like, yeah, don't let him back in the PGA. Just like ridiculous, like brattiness basically. And it's just I never got it from the point of view from Rory, because it's like these dudes are their golfers, and like Live was trying to put on like a good golf thing to improve golf's like ratings and golf just in general, like golf viewership. And then now he's backtracking on all that, of course, because he probably realized that he's kind of dumb for doing and saying what he did. It is what it is. But yeah, that was just interesting to me to see more like one of the like obviously the better golfers of all time, Roy McIlroy, just go out and make such a strong stance that now he's backtracking. It's just ironic. It's kind of funny, kind of comedical to see somebody like, oh, actually not let him back in. Like, because yeah, obviously, because like you have these two giants, you'd obviously want to work together, kind of like the USFL and the XFL combining to make the UFL. Similar to that, like why not make Live and PGA combine? Or I mean, they don't have to combine actually as a company, but just work together for the betterment of the sport of golf. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, also boxing news. Two of the biggest boxers right now, especially there's Jake Paul. Jake Paul has a fight coming up. It's apparently against some 17-2 boxer named Ryan Borland, who used to be a professional boxer, and then like he I guess left to go work on like drill rigs, like oil rigs, something like that, and then now he's like back into boxing. I don't know, but it's a 17-2 boxer. He seems like he obviously he's 17-2. He has a pretty good understanding of boxing, so hopefully, if Jake beats him, he gets some credit for that. But also maybe this guy beats Jake, maybe. But yeah, honestly, I think Jake will win. I think Jake's actually a pretty good boxer. He's kind of shown that. He's done a lot of good boxing things. And then also he's helping grow the sport of combat sports. So yeah, hopefully he gets a win and hopefully he gets a little bit more respect. Yeah. And then obviously the biggest fight in boxing right now, probably, I would assume so. I'm also, like I said, not too well based in the sport of boxing, but the biggest fight is the Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk fight. I hope I said that right. It's a hard name to pronounce. It's like I believe he's Ukrainian, but like yeah, Usyk versus Fury, big fight, and I guess it just recently got postponed. I guess Tyson suffered some type of deep cut wound. I don't know where. Didn't really say where. So I guess he can't fight apparently with the cut wound. So hopefully he heals up soon and we get to see the fight soon. Because honestly, I'd love to see it. Because honestly, I think Usyk would beat Fury. This version of Fury that we've seen, I think Ngannou beat Fury back then, but that's a different story. But I also think Usyk would beat Fury, and I think that would lead to like a new kind of face in the boxing world. Obviously, Usyk's younger, and Fury, he like retired but came back. Like he's kind of out, kind of in still. So, yeah, hopefully Usyk wins it, so there could be like a new level of boxing, a new person to go after instead of it just being Fury. Because obviously, if Fury wins, he's just gonna probably go out again and just retire again, whatever happens. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, hopefully he gets to recover fast because obviously you don't want somebody hurt. And hopefully we get to see the fight soon. Be a good fight, big fight. We'll go on to some basketball. There's two big things out there for women's basketball. Obviously, the WNBA has a bunch of trade deadlines right now. But mostly for that, I would like to touch on Skylar Diggins-Smith, one of the best WNBA players out there. I believe got traded to or just signed with the Storm. She used to be with the Mercury, now she's with the Storm. So that's obviously good for the Storm, bad for the Mercury. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens there. But Caitlin Clark, the biggest person in women's sports right now, women's basketball, women's sports as well. She is now second all time in NCAA scoring for women, right behind, I believe, Kelsey Plum. She's like 103 points behind her, and she still has all of March Madness and the tournaments, and I believe a few more regular season games to go. So yeah, she'll probably, barring hopefully she does not get severely injured, but barring that, she will more than likely get 103 points in however many games she has left. Obviously, we don't know because the tournament could be one and done, but she'll probably get it before the regular season's even over. So that's great for Caitlin Clark. Obviously, great for women's sports to see a new face, which means she'll probably continue to be successful. I don't see her stopping anytime soon. Obviously, like I said, barring a crazy injury, which, yeah, it's cool for her, good for Iowa, good for sport. Really exciting to see such a young, talented individual come out here and ball out. We love seeing people ball out, so that's good. Yeah. And then on the men's side of college hoops, we have UNC just lost to last second loss, buzzer beater shot from Georgia Tech, and that was it's like it just continues the upset season I talked about on the last episode of just upset after upset in this regular season, which is setting up to, in my opinion, for a really good March, because then you're going to have these teams that are obviously high ranked, but you never know because they're obviously losing. I mean, of course, they'll bring their A game a little bit more in the tournament, but you never know because they will obviously lead to some more upsets. But yeah, so yeah, definitely there was another upset as well. The Wisconsin lost to Nebraska in overtime. Wisconsin was number 6 at the time. Nebraska ends up just beating them in overtime, which is good for Nebraska because now they have actually beat 2 not only conference opponents, but 2 highly ranked in the top 10, top 6, and number 6 and number 1 at the time when they beat them. They've now beat those as well, and they were also both in the Big Ten. So definitely impressive for Nebraska. They're building up the potential for a good tournament run and a good run later on in this season, which is great for the state of Nebraska in general because they obviously, it's good that it's good for them to have some successful sports going on around this parts because obviously college-wise they haven't been doing the hottest for a while. But yeah, and then there was a New Mexico State player just recently who punched a Liberty player in the face, which if you watch the video, it's crazy. Obviously, they got tangled up, but yeah, it wasn't accidental. Obviously, it was pretty on purpose. You watch it, he just clocks him. Which, hey, look, sometimes tensions boil over. I was just playing in a soccer game in real life. Me personally, I was playing in a pickup soccer game, basically, in like a little league, like a men's league, soccer. Well, it's not a men's league. It's just an adult league soccer. And this guy was he was playing way too aggressive, and he had like very little soccer skill. And so I almost fought him actually because obviously tempers flare, like I said, during sports, and then you get all heated, you get all emotional. So yeah, I don't really blame the guy, but yeah, it was a crazy punch. Yeah, definitely. If you haven't seen the video, I'd suggest going to check it out. New Mexico State player just socking a Liberty player right in the face. It's crazy video. And then we have a few big games coming up this week. We got Kansas versus Houston, which is a big game. 2 top 10 teams. Tennessee versus Kentucky, which is a big game as well. 2 top 10 teams. And then North Carolina Duke, obviously always a big game between those two, especially they are both also top 10 ranked teams. So 3 different games of top 10 ranked games, as well as Iowa State's playing Baylor, which they're both top 15. They're both outside of the 10, but I think they're 12 or 16 maybe. I don't know. But yeah, definitely a lot of big games coming up this, I believe tomorrow is most of those games. And yeah, so just this week, a lot of going to be shakeups in the rankings, obviously, from those losses and wins from those teams. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and predict who I believe is going to win all that because I'm not that well knowledgeable on college hoops right now. But But yeah, definitely some games to look out for and games to get interested in. Uh, yeah, and we'll move on to the NBA. Focus more on the NBA side of basketball, like pro side, because yeah, like, not much more I know too much about college. I don't know too much about college hoops to speak too much on that topic. But yeah, so NBA, we have crazy news out there. Marcus Gasol is retiring. I hate to say it, but I didn't even know that Marcus Gasol was still in the league. I didn't know that he was. I think his last year he played was 2021, 2022. So obviously he must have been a free agent this year. But yeah, last time he played was with the Lakers. Before that, I believe Toronto, and then obviously his long I think he played 20 years and like 17 or 18 of them were with the Grizzlies. So that's yeah, but props to Marcus Gasol. Obviously had quite a few great years. I wish he had a little bit more help over there on the Memphis side for all those years because obviously he was balling out on Memphis's team, but Memphis wasn't really able to carry him anywhere too far and deep into the playoffs, which sucks for him. But yeah, him himself has had a great career. So hope for great things outside of the sport for Marcus Gasol. And Memphis is also retiring the number 33 jersey for him. So yeah, good to see another great go out gracefully. But yeah, and then Rajon Rondo. Speaking of another veteran, super veteran player, somebody he got arrested. I guess he had gun and drug charges on him now. Like he had a loaded firearm or something on him, and then like marijuana and like drug paraphernalia. So obviously marijuana paraphernalia. So yeah, I can't say that I'm surprised because it's Rondo, and Rondo's had a bunch of crazy mishaps happen in his career for a while. So sucks for Rondo. Hopefully he gets out and stops getting caught smoking weed and shooting guns or having guns. Um, yeah. So yeah, hopefully he can get out and then keep his name clean because obviously want to see these superstars in troubled times in jail and shit. Yeah, KD and Damian Lillard both went back to their respective. Well, KD went back to Brooklyn, obviously, has a few respected places that he came from, and then Damian Lillard went back to Portland, and they both got a lot of love, which is good to see. You've seen they both had videos and tributes and like cheering and standing ovations for them, which it's really good to see for Dame because you kind of were like you didn't know how it was going to go for Dame when he came back to Portland because the way he left the organization, he kind of left it like a dick. He's like, oh, I want to be traded. I want to be traded to Miami. Like, get me out of here. I've done enough for this city. And it was like, whoa, damn. Okay, Damian. Like, you was all about loyalty before this. And, like, now you're, like, out here like, damn, give me to Miami. And then you didn't even go to Miami. You went to Milwaukee. So it was like you didn't really know if Portland was going to be too happy to see him. They were, which is good for him. Yeah, definitely cool to see these cities not being dickheads, especially Brooklyn and Portland, which Portland, like I said, could have easily had a sour taste in their mouth. And then Brooklyn, New Yorkers can sometimes be aggressive, the Brooklyn crowd, towards these players. But obviously KD didn't really do anything negative. He was like the best player for them out of like the KD, Harden, Kyrie situation. KD obviously did the best for them and did the most for them. So obviously they shouldn't have any ill will towards him, and I'm glad they showed the love when he came back to them with the Suns. The Lakers are in a lot of headlines right now. LeBron was getting talked about being traded, but then him and Rich Paul are like, no, he doesn't want to get traded. Which, I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna make too much about those rumors because obviously, like, I don't get why they start these rumors and then obviously they shut them down quickly. But yeah, but apparently LeBron and other players were making cryptic tweets. I believe Christian Wood about Darvin Ham and like how like now they're talking about him being on the hot seat, which big surprise. LeBron is getting another coach fired. It's going to be like I don't know. He might have gotten more coaches fired in his career than he has had all-star selections. He gets coaches fired like it's nothing. Like man, you got him like out here like It's like Peter finding a piece of candy. It's like, ooh, new coach. Ooh, a new coach. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. You know what I'm saying? It's terrible. Little Family Guy reference for y'all. But yeah. And then LeBron got smacked in the face by Dylan Brooks, which is, to me, was hilarious. Dylan Brooks keeping up his little menace antics. Obviously, not afraid of LeBron. Him and LeBron have had issues before, beef before. Really funny to see Dylan Brooks just smack him. It actually didn't even look too intentional this time. I mean, he may just be really good at playing the part and playing like innocent, but it really looked like, because like it was also like in the middle of a basketball play, and obviously with Dylan Brooks' history and the beef with LeBron, and then LeBron also being a little bit of a bitch and kind of selling it. He was like being all like, "Oh, I got hit." It obviously didn't go well. So there's that, yeah. And then, yeah, the Lakers, obviously, also LeBron and AD, they sat out a portion, or for like a little bit, and like the Celtics were playing the Lakers during that time, and then the Celtics ended up losing to the Lakers, which is crazy how the Lakers played so much better without having to be super LeBron-centric or super Anthony Davis-centric. So, yeah. And then the 76ers also in a lot of headlines, more specifically Embiid, but also can't forget Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey went out there, put out 51 points. Let's go, Tyrese. I love seeing that young man ball. Like I said, you love seeing these people ball. All these 50, 40, 60, 70 now, 40 to 70 point games from all these stars out here. Yeah, that's right. Tyrese Maxey's a star. I'll put it on there. Tyrese Maxey went out there, balled. Like I said, love to see it. Like, especially when they're young. You got these young stars out there. Yeah, like, hell yeah, go kill that shit, man. Tyrese, like, there's no real reason to not root for Tyrese. He's a good kid. He's a good player. So, unless you're, like, obviously, like, unless your team's arch rivals, the 76ers, or you're playing against them, you're not really going to hate on Tyrese Maxey. But even when you're playing against them, he's like one of those guys where you're like, damn, I can't even be mad because it was Maxey who just put up all those points on us. But, yeah, his main man out there in Philadelphia, Joel Embiid, has gotten into some hot waters because apparently they're talking about the whole, I guess now he's a meniscus injury and he's out indefinitely. Hopefully he can recover fast because obviously he's a big part of that team. And they were talking about they didn't report the injury before he missed the Nuggets game, which led to the team getting fined $75,000, which, damn. I mean, obviously $75,000 for the team itself, a team that's like a multi-million-dollar team. Obviously, that's not a lot of money. So I don't know how big of an impact that's going to be, but I'm glad that they fined him because obviously they're making a bigger deal about the whole like injuries and reporting and missing games, which is good. As you guys can see, I got my dog in the room right now. Her name is Olive. This is Olive. Say hi to the podcast, Olive. But yeah, so yeah, Embiid's whole injury is a whole big deal because also like it's factoring into the MVP thing because the new rule Adam Silver came out with, or the NBA in general. I don't know if it's Adam Silver. Let's not centralize him, but yeah, the NBA has the new rule now where it's like if you don't play 65 games, you can't get any awards or like bonuses. So obviously he could miss the 75 or 65 games that he needs to play. But honestly, I don't think Embiid should be MVP anyway. So I don't think that should be talked about too much. Obviously, I am talking about it because it is a topic because he is. Obviously, I don't control the MVP voting. So he definitely was in the MVP conversation. But if you ask me, MVP should definitely go to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander more, or like definitely more players are more deserving, like Giannis, Jokic, Luka, SGA. Like I said, yeah, definitely. For the 76ers point though, because Embiid is a good player. Obviously, I just don't think he's MVP level, especially if he is missing these many games. Like if this is even in the topic, obviously he shouldn't get the obviously he should not get the award. So yeah, there's another big game We obviously talked about the Maxi game, but Jalen Brunson on like the same night or like right after getting announced for his first All-Star selection. Props to Jalen Brunson. He definitely deserves it. He's been out there balling for New York. New York's hot right now. New York's going crazy. Hey, stop it. New York is going crazy. New York is definitely going crazy out there. They're a hot team. They're like 14-2 in like January or something. Yeah, like they're not something to mess around with, especially with Brunson, because Brunson put up 40 points. Yes, and he's obviously got selected to an All-Star game. So definitely got to watch out for the Knicks. And we had Steven Adams, who's been injured all year and has not played for the Grizzlies. And then Victor Oladipo, who obviously got injured last year with Miami, also hasn't played all year. They got traded, which was such a weird trade because obviously we don't even know if either one of those players is going to play this year. And they haven't played all year. So it was peculiar to see that. Type of trade happen between two players that haven't played all year. But I think it makes sense because if they do come back, Oladipo could definitely be a key piece in the Grizzlies lineup as they're missing Ja and Steven Adams on the – man, who even was Oladipo, huh? Man. But, yeah, definitely I see what Memphis was trying to do there. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with that trade. We'll have to see if those players come back. Yeah, but then players of the month were Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell for the Cavs. Cavs also a hot team in the East, mostly due to Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, he has teammates out there, Jared Allen, other players, Darius Garland balling. Darius Garland has returned from injury. So, yeah, but definitely Donovan Mitchell's putting on a tear out there. Devin Booker, he's been balling as well. 62 points earlier in this month. So, yeah, definitely they kind of deserve those Player of the Month awards. Obviously, probably why they got them. We also have the All-Star rosters as the All-Star break is coming up. Let's see. For the East, we have Giannis, Tatum, Embiid, Halliburton, Dame Lillard as the starters. Then Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Bam Adebayo, Jaylen Brown, Julius Randle, Paolo Banchero as the rest of the team, which is a pretty stacked team. I haven't been too in depth with my NBA viewing this first half of the regular season, so I'm not going to sit here and argue who should or should not be on that list. But obviously, these players, most of them have been balling out, to my knowledge. So obviously, if with my limited viewership so far this year, if I've noticed that all these players have been balling out, and obviously a lot of them are return All-Stars, so of course they're keeping up the good work. Obviously, they're doing pretty good stuff. The Western Conference, we got LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, SGA. Those are the starters, which is a stacked starting five. Obviously, those guys are all deserving of that. Definitely going to be a pretty fun All-Star game to watch with all these stars out there because they also got Curry, Anthony Edwards, Kawhi Leonard, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis, Devin Booker, Paul George. Yeah, stars everywhere. I like how they got a lot of tandems on there. Like they got 2 Timberwolves, 2 Clippers, 2 Suns, 2 Lakers. Then on the East side, they got 2 Celtics, 2 Bucks, 2 Sixers, 2 Knicks. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I said, I'm not gonna sit here and argue who should or should not be on that list because there was a lot of stuff going on this year. Obviously, the people who got on the team, most of them deserve it. There could be some snubs. There's some snub lists out there. I didn't really view those because there's no point in really viewing those because you see all these players that make it. It's like just be happy for the players that made it. And the other guys, obviously, next year they could just go harder and they'll hopefully get their recognition then. or maybe if somebody misses the game, they could come in. They'll be like a reserve. So yeah, pretty stacked All Star game. Gonna be good to see that all the talent on that court at that one time. Um, for NBA, for basketball, that's about it for topics that I have to discuss right now. If I missed anything, just let me know. Obviously, if there's other topics that you guys want to know my opinion on, you can just hit me up in the comments, live or after, and I'll discuss my point of view on them either on the next episode or in the comments themselves. But yeah, we'll move on to the MMA now, MMA section of the show. Nothing too crazy in the MMA world. Obviously, we have 300 coming up. We have some fights coming up this month as well. There's the 298 later this month, right after Valentine's Day. So we'll talk about that a little bit more on the next episode. But yeah, this weekend, tomorrow actually, we have a fight night. Yeah, should be good fight night. Not too many big names. Sorry, excuse me. My goodness. Yeah, not too many big names on that fight night, but should be quite a few entertaining fights is what I've been seeing. But yeah, then later on this month, obviously we'll talk about that. But some big news that dropped is Sean Brady and Vicente Luque got canceled, and they're trying to find a new fight for Sean Brady because I guess Vicente Luque was the one who he got injured. Hopefully, speedy recovery for him. He's obviously had issues in the past, so definitely want to see a speedy recovery for him. Good guy. And then also Dominic Reyes, we want to see a speedy recovery for him. I guess he had blood clots and he had to cancel his fight. So he said he almost died. He's lucky to be alive. So obviously, hopefully, he's starting to feel better. Dominic Reyes he's one of the few people that has actually given John Jones a great fight. So we're hoping for a better future for him. Hopefully he's not so injured, obviously. And then Aljamain Sterling, of course, is being, how should I say, conceited or overconfident again, as he's saying if he beats Calvin Kattar in his UFC 300 fight, that he should get a title shot after that. When it's like, what makes you think with your first fight in featherweight that you should just fight Calvin Kattar and then just get bumped up to like, okay, now you're fighting for the belt? When it's like you got people like Max Holloway in that division, who Max Holloway would just demolish Aljamain. Let's be honest. Max Holloway is one of the better fighters in that in the UFC in general, in the all time, really. So yeah, I don't know what Aljamain's thinking, but yeah, no, I'm not surprised also because, like I said, Aljamain has obviously had a past of cockiness and overconfidence, where sometimes it's bitten him in the ass, and sometimes obviously he's had the belt for a while, or he had the belt for a while until it bit him in the ass against O'Malley, who ended up beating him. So I don't know. We'll see if he gets the fight because sometimes people do get undeserving title shots, and we'll see. Maybe if he destroys Kattar, give him the title shot because Kattar is a great fighter. I'm not even sure he's going to beat Kattar, actually. That's the point. That's one point to make. So we'll have to see how he feels about that. So, yeah, I don't know. And then obviously Dana White gets to make the big decisions. And whatever's better for the UFC, I'm sure he'll do. But yeah, now we'll move on to the football portion of the show. My favorite portion, obviously. Big football fan. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we got some college football. Nothing too crazy with college football. I guess Lane Kiffin had a lawsuit, and then it got excused. So obviously he's a rich and powerful man. So obviously it's going to get excused, his lawsuit. So not really surprised by that. And I guess it was a racial, sexual discrimination lawsuit. So hopefully it got dismissed because he actually didn't do anything. Who knows? I'm not going to make a comment on that. I wasn't there. I'm not, so I can't be too knowledgeable in the situation. I haven't seen what he said or did to whatever player it was that reported him. I don't know if there was a name specifically, but yeah, hopefully. I don't know, because you want to say hopefully that he didn't do it, but then it'd be like bad on the player because then the player, it's like, why are you making these false accusations? And then yeah, you don't know because Lane Kiffin obviously he's I don't know, he's had issues in the past, so hopefully he's better than somebody who's gonna sit here. I mean, you're a leader of men, so you shouldn't really be sitting here making racist or sexist or whatever comments that he was said to have made. Um, yeah, I don't know. We'll leave that where it is. But yeah, hopefully he didn't do what was said that he did, and hopefully it wasn't just a money thing where he just paid off the judge and attorney and all that. You got it. And then another lawsuit is Tennessee and Virginia University. Apparently, they are suing the NCAA because there's a whole NIL. That's what I was saying on my last episode as well. I said the NIL situation needs to be far more regulated because there was this is an issue. There's teams or colleges, universities suing the NCAA. There's people suing here. Players are having issues. Coaches are having issues. Universities are having issues. The organization, NCAA, or association, should I say, like it's all having issues. Like the National College Athletic Association, the national people have an issue with it because we're like, well, why haven't these people been getting paid? Why is it that they're getting paid by like these schools that have money? What about the schools that don't have money? You know, the colleges, obviously the C of it, the colleges are having issues because it's like it kind of creates an unfair balance, and then it's creating a loyalty issue. Like now this college doesn't know if they're going to have this quarterback locked in for years or whatever. The athletes, like now it's like, okay, I'm going to have to switch colleges, go to that college. I'm going to have to do this, do that. Like, and the association within itself, they're obviously getting sued, so obviously they're having issues. It's probably messing with ratings. It's changed the whole outlook. I'm like, oh man. So yeah, I don't know. Like literally every aspect is having an issue with the NIL situation. So they need to regulate it so that way it's fair for the colleges, it's fair for the athletes, it's fair for the association. So it's better for the national people that are watching and enjoying college football to view and to support and to deal with. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, I haven't heard too many. Obviously, Sharon Moore still the big talk of college football. Good for him. But yeah, we'll move on to the NFL. My forte. Yeah. We'll get right into that. We'll start with there's been a lot of there's been 2 more coaching hires, a bunch of coordinator hires, some GM hires. We'll talk about those. Then we'll obviously get into news around the league and then the playoffs. So we'll start with the Lions. Ben Johnson, he decided to stay in Detroit, which was really good for Detroit and really good for Ben Johnson, I personally believe. Because to me, I was like, yeah, if I'm Ben Johnson, why would I want to leave a team that basically, what some people say, should have just went to the Super Bowl? So, I don't know, you were right there knocking on the door. None of the players are really going anywhere. Not enough to create an issue, like a detrimental, okay, now we're going to be terrible. So, yeah, I would definitely run it back. It's a good culture that they're building there. You got Dan Campbell returning, especially since he's the offensive coordinator, a lot of those offensive players are returning. So I wouldn't see why you would go to Washington, because it was only Washington and Seattle left, and that's why he had to announce that he was staying, because he was in the talks for both those teams to become their coach. And it's yeah, I'd rather stay in Detroit, because it's why would you go to Washington, who's got new ownership, so you don't even know what's going to go on over there. They got a new GM. They got a second overall pick. You don't know what's going to happen with Washington. That's just an unknown. And then with Seattle, yeah, you have players, you have pieces, but yeah, I don't know. I definitely see why he stayed with Detroit, and it's obviously also good for Detroit because then you don't have to find a new offensive coordinator after he's obviously had a very successful year. So then you could kind of keep it more in house, kind of run it back with the same unit or a very similar unit, because obviously there was a lot of success with Detroit this year. So that's great for Detroit and great for Ben Johnson. And then that led to um, the Seahawks and the Commanders. They signed different coaches, none of them being Bill Belichick, which uh, to me isn't too surprising. I mean, yeah, it's Bill Belichick. He's had such a great like past. He's had a legacy, but he's very old. He's very stuck in his ways. You don't want him in Washington because there's a new GM and he's going to want to have way more power. So then that new GM is going to kind of get faded out. It's like, why did you even sign a GM if you're going to sign Bill Belichick? You might as well just sign Bill Belichick. I mean, them both. Even though he hasn't had great player personnel decisions, he hasn't signed people with the greatest success or drafted people with the greatest success. Uh, yeah, especially offensively or mostly offensively. So yeah, it's not too surprising to me that he didn't get hired because obviously Seattle, they just moved on from Pete Carroll, who's a defensive older guy, uh, very involved, very like with a big legacy. So why would they? They basically would just be replacing him with Bill Belichick, like same kind of guy, old, just as old, uh, just like I'm not maybe just as successful, but just another like legs, like another coach with a big legacy, veteran coach, older coach, defensive coach. Yeah. So, but they did end up going with a defensive coach, which surprisingly, the most surprising non-hire is Mike Vrabel because he's younger than these two. He's like 40 something. And he's had success. Uh, he's done great things with Tennessee before. So I don't know. Well, hopefully he can get a coordinator job somewhere at least, or maybe take a year off, come back. And that's another thing is for those three coaches, those bigger names. There's definitely obviously going to be some jobs open next year unless somehow all 32 teams keep their coach. And maybe those jobs are better options. Maybe those jobs are not better options. I don't know. Maybe those jobs are actually willing to hire you. Maybe these jobs weren't. So yeah, hopefully Vrabel either I don't know comes as a coordinator and then gets another coaching job next year. Hopefully he comes and hopefully he just stays free agent and gets a coaching job next year. Maybe Pete as well. Maybe Bill as well. I don't know. Maybe Vrabel didn't want to get hired this year. Maybe he didn't like any of these jobs. We never know. So yeah, but yeah. So then the two head coaching hires that are the new hires are Mike McDonald. My fault. He was the Ravens defensive coordinator, who obviously had a lot of success this year. Led the Ravens to a number one seed and AFC Championship exit against one of the, if not the best coaches, or if not the best coach, one of the best coaches of all time, especially offensively. And Andy Reid was the only person to outsmart his defense, really, it seemed this year. And yeah, that's definitely a good hire for Seattle because it definitely keeps like the defensive culture there. He has a lot of pieces to work with there. Mike McDonald had a very successful year. He's done it for a few years actually with the Ravens. He has a good defensive eye for talent. He's had a lot of good players come in and out of great players even come in and out of Baltimore. Probably was a good part in helping draft Kyle Hamilton, Patrick Queen, all these young guys they had. Probably was a big part in getting Roquan Smith, all these bigger guys over there to that team. So definitely good for them. I like the hire. I think Seattle did probably one of the better coaches out there that they could have hired. They got him. And then the Commanders, they went with Dan Quinn. We won't talk too much about this Dan Quinn hire right now because I'm actually going to give you guys my rankings 1 through 8 of all the 8 head coaching hires later, and we'll talk more about Dan Quinn then. But I don't get it. So that's a little teaser into that section of his topic. But yeah, we'll get more into the coordinators and then finish off with like the head coach rankings. We had for coordinators hiring, we got the Packers hired the Boston College head coach Jeff Hafley as their defensive coordinator, which apparently he's worked in the NFL before and he's done very well. Like a lot of people, like players that have played under him and with him, love him, and they said they give him high praises. And he has a lot of pieces to work with over there in Green Bay as well. Green Bay had a pretty good defense this year. He did pretty well with Boston College. Boston College wasn't too bad of a college football program last year. So good move for the Packers. Not just saying that because I'm wearing the Packers jersey. Definitely seems like a great move for the Packers, as he seems like a successful head well screwed on, knows what he's talking about with defense and football. For that he's great with preparation, game plans. So good for him. Good for the Packers. Another hire. Titans. Oh yeah, the Titans for their defensive coordinator signed the Baltimore Ravens defensive back coach, which is pretty good for the Titans, especially to combine him, who's done very well for himself over there with Baltimore and their defensive back group. Kyle Hamilton, obviously, I'm sure he had something to do with his success. Arthur Millette, Marlon Humphrey, he's obviously had something to do with these guys' successes, which is a great thing to have for a defensive-minded guy. And him can combined with Brian Callahan, the offensive head coach that they signed, the offensive coordinator that they upgraded to their head coach from the Bengals. That combination, really good. Stole two key people from the AFC opponents that are big-time AFC opponents, put them on your team. And then they hired, I think, their offensive coordinator from the Jaguars. Yeah, offensive coordinator from the Jaguars. They took him, I believe, or he was like their passing game coordinator at the Jaguars or something like that. And they took him and made him their offensive coordinator. So definitely, I don't know. Because the Jaguars passing game, Jaguars in general didn't really impress me last year. But still, taking somebody who has a divisional opponent, shaking up their whole organization, definitely a chess piece kind of move. Good for them. Hopefully he meshes well with the rest of them. And then obviously, also Brian Callahan, little random fact, I guess he hired his dad, Bill Callahan, who apparently does have coaching experience. So it's not just like, oh yeah, hey dad, come in here and fucking maybe whip up some stuff. But yeah, he is now there, like something offensively, like O-line coach or something, which good for him. Obviously good to have somebody you trust like your dad in the field. And so the Titans, I don't know, their whole coaching change, new OC, new DC, new head coach. Hopefully it works for the Titans. Maybe they can get back on top of the AFC South. Obviously it's a lot harder now because you have Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud, who, if they have anything close to their rookie years as their sophomore years, are going to be pretty hard to beat. And then the Jaguars, obviously, like I said, didn't impress me last year, but there's definitely a chance for them to be great next year, or good next year as well. Because Trevor Lawrence, we'll have to see if he can make a bounce back or if he's just kind of there in the middle of the pack with the quarterback like he showed this year. So, yeah, we'll definitely have to see where the Titans line up in that. And then, obviously, them keeping Derrick Henry is a big piece of that. But that's their coaches. Not looking too bad. Let's see. Alex Van Pelt is the new offensive coordinator at New England. Gerard Mayo actually has an offensive coordinator, unlike Bill Belichick, with his very old, like that's not even old school. I don't know what you would call it. Like Bill Belichick not picking an offensive coordinator last year, that was like the first thing where I was like, yeah, you're done. You're probably out of the building. That shit was dumb. For somebody of your experience and your stature to like not pick an offensive coordinator, I don't know. I was like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, I literally just scratched my head. It's much like that wasn't even a pun. Like, that was a head scratcher. It was like, what is Bill doing? What the hell? Yeah. But yeah, they got an actual like offensive coordinator this time. Hopefully he calls plays well because obviously Gerard Mayo's a defensive guy. We'll have to see how that works. Alex Van Pelt, I believe, came from the Browns, if I'm not mistaken. So, what? Oh, yeah, he did come from the Browns, which is actually probably a really good move for New England because what he did with the Browns this year, 4 quarterbacks, injuries, Chubb's down. Yeah, like he did well with what he had to go through with the Browns. So that's good for the Patriots, bad for the Browns because now they're gonna have to find somebody to replace him, which doesn't seem like he's very easy to replace with the success he had with that situation. And then Cliff Kingsbury, who was previously rumored to be going to the Raiders, did go to the Raiders, which I don't know. We've seen Cliff as an OC before, and he wasn't bad. Then he went to head coach of the Cardinals, and he was bad. He was very bad. And then he went to be OC for the Trojans, and the Trojans were slightly, I don't know, because so you had Caleb Williams, and then like USC went crazy 2 years ago, and then this year they kind of stagnated. They weren't as explosive and as good. Obviously, they were still a good franchise or a good, not franchise. Obviously, they were still a good team for the college, but you don't know if Cliff kind of had a part in that stagnation. Hopefully he didn't. Hopefully it's good for the Raiders for their sake. Me personally, I don't believe in Cliff after seeing what he did in Arizona, and I wasn't too impressed with because obviously the USC doesn't really need him because they have Lincoln Riley, and Lincoln Riley's a mastermind within his own. So we'll have to see how Cliff works out in Oakland, but I'm just saying, don't get your hopes up. Las Vegas, or not Oakland. My fault. Las Vegas, obviously, man. Boy, am I stuck in an old mindset. Las Vegas, hopefully it works out for them, for their sake, like I said. Sorry, that kind of threw me off. But, yeah, Las Vegas, don't get your hopes up with Cliff Kingsbury because you will definitely or possibly get disappointed. And then another, the last coordinator I want to talk about is Arthur Smith. Went to the Steelers. Me personally, as a Steelers fan, I'm really, really excited for that. Arthur Smith, obviously, as a head coach, not too successful. Very consistent, 7-10 every year, but not very successful. So, yeah, but like definitely big difference between OC and HC. Big difference between head coach and offensive coordinator. Offensive coordinators, let's be real, it's a lot easier, I'm assuming, than a head coach. And like, so if he's just only in charge of, if he's only in control of calling the plays, then it's definitely going to be better for him. And he has had success before with the Mike Vrabel-led Titans, which the Titans without him have not been as good, especially on the offensive side. So when the Titans were number 1 in the AFC, he was in charge of the Titans offense. So great for the Steelers. And obviously he was already gone from the Falcons, so it doesn't really detriment anybody else's team. But yeah, definitely smart move by Mike Tomlin, Art Rooney, and all of them. And it definitely goes into Art Rooney, who said that he was very tired of the Steelers' playoff win drought. So obviously he's not afraid to make some moves this year if things are not looking too hot. And hopefully that means we're willing to get a quarterback who could shake this situation up. Or hopefully we just have some more success. Like me as a Steelers fan, that's what I'm hoping for. Obviously, the rest of the league doesn't want to see us succeed. But, yeah, hopefully for the Steelers' sake, Art Rooney is actually about it, stands on business, and make sure we get some playoff wins this year. Because, honestly, me too, I'm tired of it as well. Can't lie. But yeah, that's the last coordinator hire that we want to talk about. And like I said, I'll give you guys my rankings 1 through 8 of the head coaching hires. So we'll start it here. We'll go just down 1 through 8. We won't start at the bottom and go up. But number 1 is Jim Harbaugh, obviously out there in LA. Dude was he's the most winningest coach in NFL history. I referenced it on my last episode. Jim Harbaugh's a dog. Jim Harbaugh, like, they talk about everything about him. Culture builder. He's a dog. He's a leader. He's a physical guy. He's out here talking about, oh, we're going to build a physical team. This team's going to win multiple playoff wins. He's not playing around. Yeah, Jim Harbaugh is not playing around, man. So definitely, that's the best hire. He was the best coaching candidate, and that was one of the better opening head coach jobs. Like you got a lot of talent on that team, and the really things that they need help with are the things that Jim Harbaugh specializes in. So he'll get in there and obviously make the team better. So watch out for LA this year. Scary stuff. Las Vegas, I had it second because I think that was just a really smart move with Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce was the guy there. Like, he kind of won over the team, won over the locker room, won over the fans at the end of the year, taking over as interim. So just making him like, hey, fuck it, you've done good. He did well. He beat the Chiefs. There was nothing like really for you to be like, actually get out of here. So it's definitely good for them to be like, yeah, come back, coach this team. We'll see what you can do. Obviously, if he doesn't work out, then you get rid of him. But like, I think you give him some time. He's got a rookie quarterback right now, obviously. Unless they go back with Jimmy G, we'll have to see. Or if they get somebody else. Or not a rookie now, it'll be his next year, O'Connell. But O'Connell looked decent. So, yeah. But like I said, head coaching-wise, that is definitely the way to go. Antonio Pierce was a smart move. Seattle, I had them at third best coaching hire. Because, like I said, Mike Macdonald, I just kind of touched on it earlier, so I won't go too deep into it now because obviously I've said mostly what I want to say. Very successful with the Ravens. Hopefully, with all the pieces he has there in Seattle, does well over there as well. Seattle has obviously a lot of competition in that division alone with two of the best offensive coaches there is. A team that's in the Super Bowl right now, another team that made the playoffs, and the Rams, and then the Cardinals. If Kyler Murray can stay healthy, and if John Cannon coaches the team well, then they're obviously going to be dangerous as well, especially with whoever they get with this high draft pick or whatever they get if they trade it or not. And yeah, so he's got a lot cut out for him, but I think Mike Macdonald will definitely lead that team to success. Carolina, Dave Canales, that hiring, that was like I think that was the first one to go, or him or Callahan, one of those two was the first ones to go. But yeah, Dave Canales, stealing a divisional opponent's coordinator. That's a smart move, chess piece move, like I mentioned earlier. Making him your head coach, after he's had a very successful year, offensive guy, offensively based league now. If you watch The Herd, Colin Cowherd's always talking about how offensive coaches are the shit. They are the way to go. The last 5 Super Bowls, all 10 head coaches were offensive coaches. Doesn't really help that, or all 10 teams have had offensive coaches, should I say, because they've obviously been different teams, but a lot of them have been the same coach. Shanahan's made 2 of those now. Reed's made 4 of those. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, definitely a good move by Carolina. I believe in Dave Canales, and I think he'll lead them to some success over there. They'll definitely be better. Hopefully he could figure something out with Bryce Young that obviously Frank Reich couldn't. Maybe they get some more talent. Hard to do without your first-round pick. I don't know. We'll see how that works out in Carolina. But coaching-wise, I think that'll be good for Carolina. New England, Gerard Mayo, kind of similar to Antonio Pierce. He's already in the organization. He's been in the organization for a while, actually, because he played there. He's coached there for a while. Making him the new coach, new look on things, finally getting rid of Bill Belichick. That was a good hire, good and everything. And obviously with him bringing along that offensive coordinator, that makes it an even better hire. You could almost put it above Carolina. I kind of struggle with that ranking right there. But yeah, Gerard, the Patriots guy. He knows the Patriots way still because obviously he was played in it and for years and coached in it for even more years. So he's definitely going to keep some of the culture there, but have like a new outlook on it. So I think that New England made a really good coaching choice. Tennessee, that one was right there in the middle for me. So I had them at 6. Callahan, I don't know. I don't know how Callahan, I don't know. But then obviously the coordinators he brought along with him are also good as well. So that factoring in kind of makes it a little bit better of a hire to me because that Ravens defensive back coach becoming their D coordinator. The Jaguars one, like I said before, kind of weird to me. But yeah, Callahan, it was middle of the pack to me because I was like, I don't know what they really seen in him in Cincy. Obviously, Cincy's offense was high powered, but we don't know if that was just due to the crazy amount of superstar potential and superstars and stars on their offense. We'll have to see how that works out. But Callahan, not a bad hire, not a good hire. But then the last two I don't think were the best hires. Atlanta going with Raheem Morris, who has had head coaching experience that was not that great with the Falcons even. And then, he went over to LA, and then LA's defense, the Rams, of course, not the Chargers. But, the Rams defense was good. I wouldn't say great. I don't know. That was just, I don't know. Atlanta, I don't know where they were going with that. For their sake, obviously, hopefully it works out. I just don't know where Atlanta was going with that. I don't know why they went in that direction with plenty of other coaches to hire. Maybe nobody wanted to go to Atlanta, but there is a lot of young talent in Atlanta, so I don't know if that was the case. Bill Belichick was obviously – I would have took Belichick before I took Morris, even though I don't think Belichick should be coaching anymore. But I obviously don't think Morris should be head coach either. So, Washington, I had them at 8th because I was like, Dan Quinn. I do like the chess piece move of taking – that is the one thing I like about this. The one thing I like about this is them taking Dan Quinn away from the Cowboys and having to shake up that organization now. Like now they're going to have to go pick another defensive coordinator, which will probably, I don't know, he might do a better job actually. So it might end up biting the Commanders in the ass because I don't know what they've seen in Dan Quinn that made them think like, oh yeah, this guy should be our next head coach. I mean, that Cowboys defense, it's been like good and whatnot, maybe even great if you want to call it that, the last couple of years, but that is not really a Dan Quinn thing. Like they have a lot. I mean, obviously he's been part of it, but they got Micah Parsons, they got DeMarcus Lawrence, they got Deron Bland. They have fucking units on that defense. So, I mean, I guess so does Mike McDonald's team, but I don't know. The scheme is obviously better for Mike McDonald's team than it was for Dan Quinn's. So, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens there in Washington. But I'm not looking forward to it. I don't know. And then obviously whoever they get is their second overall pick or whatever they do with that pick, trade it, pick a quarterback, pick somebody else. That'll be a big factor in their success as well, especially with Dan Quinn. It'll be a big factor in his success as well. And then other news around the league, the Chargers, along with another Ravens person having to leave the organization. So the Ravens organization is going to be really shaken up. They're going to have to, for their GM, they got like a director of player personnel from the Ravens for the Chargers, which the way the Ravens have been drafting, that just makes the Chargers even more dangerous. I don't even have to explain that. The Ravens have drafted amazingly the last few years. Obviously, since Lamar and even before that, they have had really good drafts. So director of player personnel, I'm sure, has to deal with a lot of the drafts. And he's getting these people in there like good trades. The dude's done some good stuff. So him combined with Harbaugh, combined with all that talent in LA, Chargers are going to be a scary ass team next year, and also a high pick, like top 10. I know it's in the top 10. I think it's like 5, 6, something like that. Crazy for the Chargers. Crazy. I'm just excited to see that. But and Baker Mayfield, who could go back to the Buccaneers, said that he wants to see who the Buccaneers sign as their offensive coordinator before he decides to come back or not. Which I like that because he has the power to say that. And obviously, if they sign some bozo who shouldn't be their offensive coordinator as their offensive coordinator after having such a great offensive coordinator, Dave Canellis, I wouldn't want to go back either. Because why would I want to go play for a team that I obviously envisioning is not going to have the same amount of success that we just had? Like, Baker's been through enough in his career. Hopefully, I'm hoping they sign somebody he doesn't like, and then Baker becomes a free agent, and hopefully the Steelers can get him. That way we could draft somebody that's not a quarterback. Me personally, as a Steelers fan, that's how I hope it goes. But I think, obviously, they'll talk to Baker. They'll see who he wants. And if they're smart, because Baker obviously did well for the team, especially after having Tom Brady, like one of the best of all time, before him. I don't know. If they're smart, they'll talk to Baker. They'll see who he wants. They'll sign somebody from his list, and then they'll keep Baker. But we'll have to see. That's obviously a waiting game. Teddy Bridgewater, apparently, I don't know if he's just out of the league or if he's retired or something, but apparently he's now the head coach at his high school that he went to, which that's cool for him. Good for him. Probably nostalgic. Obviously good for those players. They get a lot of knowledge from a guy who's been in the NFL. He's had success in the NFL before. Before he even had his injury, he was primed to be very good for the Vikings. And obviously, I don't know what happened after that, but good for them in that thing. But his starter, or the guy he was backing up, Jared Goff, as well as Tua, are both expecting and interested in extending with their teams, which is good for both those teams because Tua, other than the whole cold thing, he's a pretty good quarterback, pretty damn good quarterback. He's obviously up there, maybe top 10, maybe top 15, but especially that he was able to stay healthy all last year, which is good. We don't want to see too many of those scary concussion incidents. He deserves an extension with what he's done in Miami, as well as Goff. Goff obviously deserves an extension with what he's done in Detroit. So for them to have that desire, those teams, if they're smart, I would say would re-sign those players or sign them to extensions, depending on obviously how much they're asking, because they're obviously not top level. Well, Goff. Well, no, they are top level quarterbacks, so obviously they deserve top level money. So we'll have to see exactly how those situations unfold, but definitely good little prefix to those situations. Obviously, they want to stay there, so we'll see what the teams do. Diggs as well. Diggs, he didn't say necessarily whether or not Stephon Diggs didn't really say whether or not he wants to be on the Bills. I don't know. He said that he cannot control whether or not he's on the Bills in 2024 or not, which I'm pretty sure it's like 50% the Bills, 50% you. So you definitely have some control in whether or not you're going to be on that team next year. So I don't know. I obviously don't think he's going to be on that team next year because of what else happened with, they lost to the Chiefs again, so he's not going to be happy about that. I don't know what the money situation is, and then also he's going to be I don't know. Stephon Diggs is a drama queen, if you ask me, and we'll see whether or not he's on that team because obviously there's been issues with it all year since in the last offseason. There's been issues with Stephon Diggs and the Bills, so we'll have to see. The Jets and Aaron Rodgers, apparently there's been issues there, within the organization. I don't know too much about it, but I guess there was reports about, we don't like how Rodgers is being treated. We don't like his relationship with Nathaniel Hackett. We don't like how he brought in all these players, which I don't know. Well, if obviously with Rodgers back next year, hopefully healthy, hopefully good to go, we'll get to see actually, because like all this Jets stuff, it's kind of just talk. It's just BS by this point. So we'll see when Rodgers returns whether or not it was a good move or whether or not it was a bad move and what the Jets will do going forward. Because right now you can't really blame the Jets because obviously he's like a top 5, top 10 quarterback of all time, and especially skill wise. And then yeah, so like how do you and like we can't judge it because we don't know what's actually going to come from it or what will come from it, what has came from it. Yeah, I don't know. Mark Andrews apparently saved a lady's flight or saved a lady's life on a flight. I guess she was having like issues and like went unconscious, and then he was apparently Mark Andrews is a diabetic or type 1 diabetic. So then he ended up like giving them his diabetes kit, and somehow that saved her life. Which, man, I don't even know what the hell that means. I don't know how that works. I guess she had like blood sugar or blood pressure problems, and then, but yeah, cool for Mark Andrews. Good for him. I'm glad he's willing to do things like that, step up, be a good person, because he is highly looked up to. Obviously, one of the better tight ends in the league, and that's good that he saved that lady's life. Hopefully, she's very thankful, and hopefully, they've got to touch base after that because that's a cool thing to do, save someone's life. And then we'll talk about Fields or the first. Justin Fields or the first overall pick. It's a big topic. They're talking about the Bears trading him or trading the pick or keeping the pick and keeping him. I don't know. Me personally, I think you should keep him and keep the pick or keep him and trade the pick, me personally, because I don't think Caleb Williams is worth it. I'll talk about more about that as we get closer to the draft. I'll talk about that probably on every episode. How I don't think Caleb Williams is worth it. Obviously, I could be dead wrong. I could be completely wrong. But me, as of right now, I don't think Caleb Williams is worth it. You have a rapport with Justin Fields. The fans like him. The players like him. He's got a lot of talent. And then, yeah, if you keep that first, or you could do so much with that first. If you do trade it, you could get so many assets. Or if you just keep it, you could draft a really good asset, like an O-lineman or a receiver or somebody that would work to help Fields improve. So, I don't know. And like, if you're willing to keep the coach, you might as well be willing to keep the quarterback because the quarterback's been way less of a problem than Eberflus has been. Me personally, in my opinion, I think so. Because obviously Eberflus, I mean, their defense looks great, and Eberflus is a defensive guy. So, and Fields is like 2-3 years into the league. You can't expect him to have like be calling like fucking amazing play. Like not even Brady was out here fucking making audibles like it's nobody's business in the third year of his career, you know? So, like, give the kid some time. Give him some better, like, help. Maybe a better OC. I don't know. I think they did sign their OC. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But I think you should keep Justin Fields. Maybe keep the first even. Or, if anything, trade the first. Get maybe, like, the fifth pick. I don't know who would be willing to trade up for that first. But, yeah. Trade it to somebody who's desperate need for a quarterback and really wants Caleb, and then get their pick later on in that first round, as well as some other picks like second, third, or fourth round picks to build even more potential starters, hopefully hits later on in the draft that you could build around Justin Fields even more. Or even players like how you traded last year. They traded for DJ Moore, who obviously was a success because he was the best Bears wide receiver in a while. I don't know, but yeah, and then now we'll move on to the playoffs, the Super Bowl. So obviously the Chiefs beat the Ravens, the 49ers beat the Lions. That's how we're here in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs beating the Ravens was a big surprise to me. Obviously, in the last episode, I called the Ravens all day. I definitely wanted the Ravens to win. I called them. I should have known Lamar was going to choke in the playoffs. And then it's weird because the big thing to me is like everybody was super on. They were super on Dan Campbell. Like they were really on Dan Campbell's case. Why would you go for it? Why would you be aggressive? Why would you do this? But like that is what got the Lions there. That is like why would you change your identity? Because like people are so flip floppy because they're also mad at the Ravens for changing their identity because like the Ravens, they've been a rushing team all year, rushing defense. They're gonna beat you in like a long, hard game. And apparently their running backs only had 6 rushes. Lamar was like hesitating, not rushing when he should have been. When like he could have like had fucking it's Lamar Jackson. He could have had like 30, 40 plus yards on like so many plays with his feet that he was just hesitating, trying to throw. I don't know. The Ravens, the way they played, they should have lost that game. They played terribly. Game plan was terrible. Well, I don't know what the game plan was before, but how they went in, terrible. Should have ran the ball more. Should have played better defense. Lamar should have played better. I like the guy. I love Lamar, but should have played better. Yeah, that game was inexcusable for the Ravens. And the Chiefs didn't even score that much. So you definitely could have beat them if you would have just performed how you should have, how you were all year. If you would just perform that way on offense, it would have been game over. But yeah, anyway, they didn't, and now the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. And then on the NFC side, like I said, everybody was super on top of Dan Campbell. Like, hey, why would you stay aggressive? Why would you do this? Think about it. If Dan Campbell succeeds on any of those 4th downs, then everybody was like there was dropped catches, missed opportunities. Like obviously it didn't work out. But had he gotten any of those little close calls, these games are going way different. The Lions are in the Super Bowl probably. The Lions might probably win the Super Bowl because they're a better team than the Chiefs. So the Lions, say they get those calls, they end up in the Super Bowl. So like he's one slight like it's like the same situation where it's like, oh, if this works, I'm a genius. If this doesn't, I'm an idiot. There's kind of a middle ground there. Obviously, he went for it because had it succeeded, he's in the Super Bowl. Had it succeeded, everybody's like, wow, I love this dude. He's ballsy. He went for it. Now his team's in the Super Bowl. I can't wait for him to beat the, like people are going to be going crazy had he succeeded. But he didn't succeed. So then now everybody's like, oh, whoa, what a dummy. Why wouldn't he kick it? Why wouldn't he tie the game? Which I'm not a head coach in the NFL, so I'm not want to say kick it. I'm not want to say go for it. I want to say, like I said, stay true to yourself. What got you there? Why have you been so successful? What got him there and why he was so successful? Like, was all those guys going for it? I mean, the players could have easily just been like, probably like grouped together and been like, Coach, what the hell? What are you doing? They went with it because that's what got them there. That's who they were. That's what the identity of the Detroit Lions was this year. Was like, oh, we're fucking faking punts on like 4th and 11 in the middle of the regular season. Like we don't give a fuck. Like we're going for this shit. We're ballsy. We're going balls to the wall, all out, send it, full send mode. Like the fucking Detroit Lions are like the Nelk boys of the NFL. They're just full sending everything. They're going for it. So it's like, I'm not mad at them. I praise them. Go for it. And then look, do you think Detroit's firing him? No. Hell no. You think Ben Johnson's mad about it? Hell no. He's coming back. Jared Goff wants to come back. They're like, shit, let's run him back. They're already over it. They're like, shit, next year we're making the Super Bowl. We're going to get that fucking 4th down. Josh Reynolds is probably thinking like, shit, next time I'm not fucking dropping that fucking ball. So yeah. But yeah, that's how I feel about that. But yeah, we'll talk about the 49ers obviously played a hell of a game. Chiefs played a hell of a game. Obviously, their game plans were better, and that's how they ended up where they are, playing for the Lombardi Trophy. The Lombardi Trophy, yeah. We'll see what team gets it. The Chiefs, Andy Reid, obviously they've been doing this for years. They got it last year. They beat the 49ers before 4 years ago when they played. I don't even know where that Super Bowl was. But yeah, 4 years ago they played, I believe it was Jimmy G at the time, not Brock Purdy. And obviously it went the Chiefs' way. So, I don't know. I don't think that says too much about this Super Bowl because these are obviously two very different teams. The Chiefs don't have Ty Hill. The 49ers have Brock Purdy, who I believe is personally better than Jimmy Garoppolo, or definitely more fit to lead this team. Oh, man, there's so much to talk about here. the Chiefs, Mahomes and Kelsey just kept doing it. They went in ready for that game. You seen the whole Justin Tucker thing before the game, kind of funny. They're throwing his shit. They're fucking like, I'm not playing games with you, Justin Tucker, even though he's fucking probably the best kicker to ever live. Or he's up there in the conversation. They're like, dude, get your shit out of here. We're fucking practicing right here. We're practicing to beat y'all motherfuckers. Like in Baltimore, they went on his turf, disrespected him, and like, damn, I respect it because it's like, man, like you trying to play these damn childish ass games. I'm out here trying to fucking win this game. I mean, obviously he's a kicker, so obviously he doesn't have to take the game so seriously. He just has to lock in when he needs to fucking go boot the ball. So trying to get in their head. I respect it on both sides. I respect him trying to get in their head because obviously football is a mental game as well. But I respect Kelsey trying to protect his quarterback, throwing that shit out of there. Because obviously, you think about it, Pat Mahomes steps on that helmet or the tee, and he fucking tumbles, fucking fucks his leg up. They're not winning that game because I don't even know who their backup is. Like Chad Henne? Nah, obviously not. He's retired, but he was on the Chiefs for a while, so it's just funny. But yeah, I don't know. Definitely a big deal. But they made it a super big. They made it too much of a big deal, actually. But like, it would have been a big deal had it escalated. But yeah, they came in there ready to beat them. They're used to this shit. They're used to this environment. They're obviously used to the Super Bowl environment as well. But so is San Francisco. A lot of their players have been there. Shanahan's been there. Reed's been there. This is going to be a really good Super Bowl, I feel like. Definitely, I don't know. But and another thing is like the whole betting situation. Betting, they got you like you're able to bet on the coin toss, whether or not it's going to be a heads or a tails. They got you willing to bet on the fucking Gatorade bath, what color the Gatorade bath is going to be. Like you could bet on anything. There's like a bet on like whether or not Kelsey will propose or not after the game. Like if they win, if they lose, like there's different. But it's like, dude, if you're betting on the color of the Gatorade bath, you just got too much. You either have a problem with gambling or you got too much damn money to throw around. Like, you know how many damn different flavors of Gatorade there is? That shit could be fucking teal. That shit could be white. That shit could be red. That shit could be blue, purple, green, yellow, fucking orange. Fucking, nah, man. I'll be betting on no damn Gatorade color. The coin toss, you literally have a 50-50. That's fucking, just go play roulette. If you want to throw your money around like that, you got a coin toss? Like, well, shit. It was tails. I just lost fucking $5,000 or whatever, like whatever you bet on it. Like, that's ridiculous. At least hopefully people are smart about that. And they're not. But like, I don't even want to get into the betting aspect. So dumb to me. Like, it's just like, I was like, wow, they're letting you bet on anything out here. Like, they just want your money. But yeah, the actual football aspect, Mahomes, Kelsey, like I said, they've been doing this. Rashee Rice really showed up. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, obviously amazing catch to seal the game. One time he catches the damn ball a year. That's good for him. Obviously, thankfully for him, he didn't drop it. Man, oof. You thought there was death threats to the damn Tyler Bass. Ooh, man, if he fucked that up and the Ravens got the ball back and won that game, man, Valdes-Scantling would have been gone. He would have had to leave the country, leave the planet to survive that one. Terrible. Yeah, but luckily for him, he caught it. Luckily for the Chiefs, he caught it. Seal the game. Ravens, they just let it happen. Yeah, Rashee Rice played well. Isaiah Pacheco, kid runs so hard. He's been through a lot apparently as well. I guess like within like a 1 to 2 years span, his brother and sister died while he was young, 15, 16, 17 years old. So no wonder you could see him running with all this anger. He obviously deserves great things, and that's why he's here. So it's definitely, I don't know, man. Like the Chiefs, they knew what they were doing. They got here for a reason. They played some great football. There's a lot of bullshit in that game, but obviously they're deserving of where they're at. They're a great football team. They battled through it to get here. Like normally they're a lot more successful. They're the 1 seed. Now they played some away games. They've got here. 49ers also. 49ers played amazing. Everybody on that team played amazing. Kittle, amazing. Like obviously they've came back every game. They had to come back and barely beat the Packers. They had to come back and barely beat the Lions, and then hopefully they come back and barely beat the Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? Nah, but like yeah, Brock Purdy. Oh man, you can't. I'm so sick of like these people. Oh, now all these people are hopping on his hype train. Is the PG way? I'll say that hopping on the hype train. Like oh, who this guy was a system quarterback? Like yeah, you were just calling him a system quarterback like 10 days ago. Like what are you talking about? Like you were like, oh, like before the playoffs started, when he was the regular season, it was like, oh, this guy's a system quarterback. This guy has taken the fucking 49ers to should have been 2 Super Bowls had he not gotten injured. Because last year, I fully believe he doesn't get injured. They beat the Eagles and they win that game. And they go on to the Super Bowl and possibly win it. So say if he brings home the trophy even if he doesn't bring home the trophy this year, he brought the 49ers to an NFC championship. And then the next year, that was his rookie year. The next year comes in and he's like, oh yeah, let me fuck around and give you one better. I'm going to take you to the Super Bowl. And you're calling this guy a system quarterback? They're always like, oh, well, homie, he has Debo and he's got like you can't tell me one great person who is the most he's great at being the best the biggest part of that team, which is the quarterback. The quarterback's the biggest part of every NFL team, let's be honest. Everybody knows that. Everybody who watches the NFL knows that. And he's great at that. That's like saying like, oh, well, Jordan, like he won those rings by himself. No, he didn't. He had fucking Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Phil Jackson. Like, oh, he didn't have a coach. Oh, LeBron, he won all that shit by himself. No, he didn't. He had Dwayne Wade. He had this. Oh, Curry, Durant, they did that shit by them. No, they didn't. They had Draymond. They had Clay. Like Durant had to go, obviously, be with like no. Like oh yeah, all these players they did it by themselves. Oh, Mahomes. Is Mahomes doing it by himself? No. Mahomes has. They're always like, oh, Purdy's got the coach. Who the fuck does Mahomes have? Mahomes has the best coach of all time on his team, Andy Reid. He is the best, like literally, like probably the most, like yeah, like best coach, if not one of the best coaches of all time, on his team for his entire career, and just like he's got one of the guys that has like one of the best tight end careers of all time, fastest wide receiver that's ever touched the damn ball. He had him for years, like. He's got a great O-line. He's had it his whole year. He's had a great defensive coach his whole career with Spagnuolo, who's been cooking up defensive. Like, he's had all the help. Like, why aren't we talking Brady? Brady wasn't throwing a fucking Gronk and Moss with Bill Belichick, who people label as the greatest coach of all time. Like, yeah, Brock Purdy has help. And yeah, they're star-studded all around. They got fucking Ayuk and Debo. Like, Ayuk he wasn't a hot commodity when like he's not taking like this is I mean now he is because obviously he's had success this year, but like Ayuk and Debo and C-Mac and it's like it's not like he was like this dude, nobody believes in this guy. Last pick in the draft. I literally looked at people when he got picked last year and I was like, damn, that was a steal. They got Brock Purdy at the Mr. Irrelevant. I was like, I thought he wasn't picked because he wasn't in this draft. I thought he stayed at Iowa. I thought he had some extra year somehow. I literally looked at because I was watching the draft with my brother. Obviously I was living with my brother at the time talking about, and I was like, dude, Brock Purdy is a steal. Like them getting him at Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the draft, he's probably going to take this job at some point. I was like, he's a great quarterback. Like, I don't know why everybody slept on this guy. They took all these other quarterbacks. Yeah, where are those other quarterbacks? I can tell you what, they're not in the fucking Super Bowl. And I'm not even fucking joking with you. Like, that is not a joke. I literally was like, Brock Purdy's. I said the same thing about Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes went, and like, I was like, why are the Chiefs benching him? He's going to be great. I know they had Alex Smith. I love Alex Smith. He's a great quarterback. Had a great career. But I was like, what the fuck are they doing? I was like, Pat Mahomes is a dog. Like, this dude's big time Texas football player. Like, come on. And then look, here they are. I was like praising both these guys when they were doubted at their most. They were doubted their most, and here they are. Like, yeah, Brock Purdy's not a system quarterback. Yeah, he has help, but he's great at what he does. You seen the way he was running. You seen the way he throws his shit. He's calm, cool, collected. He's like, yeah, fuck it. Doubt me all you want. I'm throwing dimes. This is my Super Bowl. Hopefully hopefully, me personally, I want as well as I believe the 49ers will win this. Obviously, yeah, the Chiefs, like I said, they have the experience and all this, but I don't think the 49ers are going to get counted out. Like, this is when people are doubting Brock Purdy the most. Like, they're like, oh, yeah, I don't know if Brock could carry him. I don't know if he can do it. But Brock's going to get it. I think this is my Super Bowl prediction right here on the episode live. 49ers win the Super Bowl, and I bet you either Brock Purdy or I'll give you a 3 MVP because the MVP is kind of hard to call. It's either going to be Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, or Fred Warner. Those three. One of those three is probably going to be the Super Bowl MVP, and the 49ers will win the Super Bowl. Sorry to the Swifties. Sorry to the Chiefs fans. But, yeah, 49ers all the way. And then I'm not saying that just biasly. I just think this 49ers team is really hot. They've been really good all year. Obviously, they had a better regular season than the Chiefs. I mean, that doesn't mean anything now. But, yeah, let's go 49ers. I'm pretty sure they're going to win this game. But, yeah, but obviously we're going to go out on the bang with that. That is the highlight of the show. 49ers all the way. Yeah, thank you to everybody who's came in and watched. I really appreciate all the love and support. I got a lot more traction than I thought I would last week. First episode, I was so excited. Like I said, this is a lifelong dream of mine. I love sports. I've loved it my whole life, especially football. And I just love sharing my thoughts, my opinions, like my analysis, because obviously, like, I put the thought and time into this, so might as well share the knowledge and stuff. So I really appreciate everybody who comes to support me, whether or not you're supporting me or you're actually just looking for sports knowledge and sports, whether you're a sports fanatic yourself. But yeah, like, I just hope this just continues to grow, and then I just hope that you guys love it, because like I said, this is a dream, and everybody else, make sure you never give up on shit, man. Chase your dreams. I won't say all that corny shit, but yeah, like, always just do what you want to do. Like, don't let anybody tell you, like, oh, shit, man, you wouldn't be successful with that. I literally got haters all the time. People telling me, like, oh, well, yeah, but, like, you don't have that many. Like, I just started. Of course I don't got that many viewers. Like, yeah, I got, like, but, you know, like, I got people that are willing, you know, and, like, obviously the word's going to spread, and then hopefully, like, especially in this day and age in social media, hopefully it gets more and more traction and more people. But, yeah, definitely last topic. Like I said, thank you to everybody. But last topic, let's watch the Super Bowl. Super Bowl is going to be great. 49ers, I believe, will take it. Brock Purdy, Fred Warner, Christian McCaffrey, one of them is going to be MVP. You heard it here first. Green out. Peace out, y'all. Much love. Hell yeah.